Hi, hello, my name is Brianne Huntsman, and I'm a blogger and creativepreneur over at The Huntswoman. You can find me on all social media platforms at _Huntswoman. And while you're here, while we're chatting, just go ahead and hit that little red box down there. Get it going. I don't know why I did that eyebrow moment, but I just felt inspired. Okay, so today what I want to talk about is something that in the plus size fashion community, world, internet, I see a lot of rage over, and I feel like it's justified rage. And what is that thing that I'm talking about? Well, if you read the title of this video, you know the challenges of plus size fashion design. I wanted to create a video as a fashion designer who knows how to design for plus sizes and talk about how effed up things are and also offer a few solutions. I don't have solutions for everything, but I'm going to show up with what I have. So the first, we're not gonna jump in there yet. I want to add like a little disclaimer. When I'm talking about the challenges of designing for plus size bodies in this video, I'm not saying that plus size bodies are bad. When I talk about plus size bodies in this video, I want to be clear that there's nothing wrong with plus size bodies and plus size folks haven't done anything wrong. Rather, the fashion industry as a whole just like isn't working, and the system that's been created is not working well with creating clothing for plus size people. So just want to get that billboard out there in the open in front of people's faces. Okay, so number one issue with plus size fashion design is the professional training in fashion programs doesn't exist. Looking online, it says there's about 2,200 fashion design programs in the United States. That number seems a little high to me, and it's because they're including online programs. And if we just look at in-person instruction, where fashion students, we're going in with our little rulers and we're like excited to make clothes, it's about 1,000-ish, okay? And five. I've been able to find 5 programs that offer classes in plus size fashion design. 5. And 2 of those classes were at the same school in Portland. So it's really like 4. And one of those schools was FIT, and none of the other ones I can send them to you, right? That's like less than 1%. Am I doing my math right? Yeah, because 100 would be 10%. 10 would be 1%. And if we're at 5, we're at like 0.5%. Oh my God. So what happens is, all of these people who are going to fashion school leave fashion school and can't design for 67% of the population. What? What is happening? No. So that happens, and then people like me who are plus size and are like, mother effer, I'm gonna learn how to design for plus sizes, like get out of my way. If you have a instructor like I had in one of my pattern making classes, I've taken a number, they can't really help you because they don't really know. So it's a lot of trial and error, it's a lot of swearing at your drafting table, and it's a lot more work. It's like, for me, it was like 5 times the amount of work as other people. It's a lot of work. And a lot of fashion programs just like point blank won't let their students even try to do plus sizes. I've heard from many designers, many fashion professionals from all over the world actually, who have told me like their instructors wouldn't even let them try because they didn't have the support system in place to support their students. Whatever. So there's issue number 1. And issue number 1 creates this like toxic fashion professional cycle where the talent doesn't exist, so designers and brands are like, well, we can't hire anyone, so we're not going to design plus sizes because we can't find anybody with the skill set. And so because those jobs aren't available, the schools don't offer the classes, saying that it's not important in fashion because the jobs don't exist, and then it's just like a cycle that goes on and on and on. So the way to break that cycle, in my opinion, is the brands have to lead the charge. Commerce moves a lot more quickly than like an education system. So if internships and job postings start being shared to find those professionals, the schools will eventually catch up. And if you're in this like weird in-between place where you're looking for plus size pattern making talent and you can't find it, your answer is to kind of go away from the fashion board job sites as much and go into the plus size network, find plus size fashion designers. I know a number of really amazing plus size pattern makers. I'm happy to send their information to whoever wants it. You can email me, whatever. The talent is there, but like the way that people are trying to find it isn't working. And the fact that fashion schools aren't teaching this is a huge issue. And this is one of the reasons why, you know, if you're like watching Project Runway and like yelling about somebody making a dress out of bike locks or something, this is why a lot of those designers freak out when they have to design for a plus size model. Now, a lot of them handle it really poorly and are really sizist and what's the word? A-holes about it, but for the designers who do try and do fail, it's because they just don't have that training. Okay, so number 2, it kind of goes off of number 1, but it's really more about money and capital investment. So most fashion companies, you guys, until you get bought out by like LVMH or you're a huge corporate brand or Walmart comes in and buys you or something, cash flow is a really big issue. And cash flow is like how much money a brand has to like play with, because a lot of fashion brands, you know, they invest all their money in their inventory and then they got to sell that inventory and they don't have a lot of like extra money lying around. So when a brand is designing clothing, they're doing so crossing their fingers that everything sells, because a lot of brands exist season to season, year to year. If they have a bad sales year, they're out of business. And so because they can't find that plus size fashion design talent, they don't feel like they can make that bet. So along with that, there's this challenge, this capital investment challenge of grading patterns. Now, when I talk about grading, I'm not talking about like you got a C- instead of an A+. That's not grading. Grading is the amount of fabric or amount of whatever that you need to add to a pattern to get up to different sizes. So fun fact, if I'm a designer, I'm not creating a pattern like a piece of paper that I'm going to use to cut fabric and then sew. I'm not creating a pattern for sizes 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, etc., etc. I'm going to create a pattern for like my base patterns is what I call it. There's different words. Where I'm going to make one at like a 6 and a 10, and I'll grade up 2 sizes and I'll grade down 2 sizes. And you know, if I'm grading down from a 10 to a 6, I'm like gonna take the different base patterns and check them and make sure things are working well. And so with your base patterns, that's when you're doing all your fit testing. So you make it in your fabric and you test it on your fit models and you do all that fun stuff. And if you are adding more sizes, that means that you have to put more money into the development of your clothing, which means you are making a huge bet that plus size folks are gonna buy your clothes. And a lot of people, again, like I said earlier, just feel like they cannot make that bet. And so there's a lot of money that has to go into making the jump and going into plus sizes. And this is why you'll see brands like adding a size or 2 every season. And if you are a PR person watching this, I really hate it when brands are like, we're offering plus sizes. And it's like, yeah, you are offering a 16 now. Like, go away. Nobody cares. So challenge number 3. I call this the Fruit of the Loom challenge. You know the Fruit of the Loom logo where it has like different fruits? So in fashion we'll say, I'm apple shaped, I'm pear shaped, I'm whatever shaped, I'm shaped like an iPhone, whatever. People aren't fruits, and I'm not a huge fan of this whole analogy, but it is helpful when you're a designer, because if I'm making a pattern for somebody who carries a lot of weight in their stomach and not a lot of weight in their thighs, that pattern is going to look a lot different than somebody who carries a lot of weight in their thighs and their upper arms. And because we're dealing with more mass, you know, like actual physical body that we have to put clothing on, a lot of brands will do things in stretch because they're worried about it. And really well, and it's not fitting you very well, even though you're technically like the same size. The reason why is because the brands are designing for different body types, and they don't share that information publicly. And that's why brands are using a lot of stretch materials in their design, and you don't see a whole lot of like no stretch in plus size fashion, because they're trying to accommodate for different places weight hangs out, where that mass is. And so it's the Fruit of the Loom problem. I don't know what a solution is for that. I don't know if we need to like have brands come out and say what shape they're designing for, because it's not fast and true. You know, hopefully they're designing for different shapes. There's just got to be a better way to communicate like what body type like the fit model had and what body type you envisioned in this garment. Because right now it kind of sucks. This is also why brands do cold shoulder tops. You know, there's like that cutout that exists. Is because if people carry their weight in their arm, if you provide an opening there, it means there's more room for their arm to like, you know, exist and move around. If you hate cold shoulder tops, it's probably because you don't carry your weight there, or maybe you just hate them. I don't know. Live your life. Okay, so the final issue that we have when it comes to plus size fashion is creating size charts. So a lot of brands, you know, if they are a straight size brand, they have sizes like 2 to 10. And let's say they're like, great, we're going to double our size offering over the next 3 years. Let's get started. So they start getting started on it, and as they're comparing themselves to competitors in the same space, they look at the size charts and they compare their size chart to their size chart. Excuse me, let's try that again. And they compare, and the brand compares the size chart they have to the size charts of their competitors. A weird thing starts to happen where brands that are trying to grade up from like a size 4, their size 16 is like another brand size 10. And plus size people were used to shopping en masse in the same like 4 stores. So there's some issues there, because then plus size customers feel like they've been lied to when they see, like when they're like, oh, I'm a size 18, I'm going to go to the size chart. I'm a 26 in this size chart? What the heck is going on? And when they're like a size 18 in the regular size charts they're used to seeing, then they go to this new brand and they're a size 24 and they're like, what the heck is going on? And plus size customers aren't used to having different sizes and different brands because we're used to honestly shopping a lot of the same companies. So some brands will have like their size chart for straight sizes where it's like size 2 to size 10, and then their plus sizes they'll have from 1X to 6X because the crossover is like not cute, and it's an issue. And there's not really a perfect solution for that besides consumer education. And you know, I get it. Like I'm a size 22, 24, and I've gone to a website and been like, what? Your size 24 is like an 18 on what I'm used to seeing. I feel lied to, and I feel really upset about this. So then brands are like upsetting their potential customers, and it's just a nightmare. So I've had people who are in fashion, who work for larger brands, who people have been asking for plus sizes for these brands for years. I've had these people tell me to my face that they cannot figure out a way around the size chart, because the 1X to 6X thing is weird, and it's especially weird for the in-betweeny sizes who don't know if they should order a size 10 or a 1X. And then there's like a lot of fashion companies, their like leading loss is returns. Like they lose a lot of money on returns and restocking stuff. So we haven't figured out a good solution to that. What I wanted to give you guys today was a take home that if a brand tells you that they are working on plus sizes, it is our job to ask for a deadline. Like, when will the plus sizes become available? Because you can't tell if it's like PR speak, like, oh, we're working on that, 5 years later, nothing. Or if the brand is like, look, we're a startup, independently owned brand, it's gonna take a minute because we gotta have money to do this. So giving designers who are just starting some grace and support while they do that. Chromat is my favorite example of this. They're a swimsuit, like lingerie, fun brand. And over time, they have been consistently adding sizes. I think a lot of fashion designers are trying, and we hear a lot about the brands that kind of suck. So yeah, so let me know what you think of this video in the comments. If you think there are other challenges to plus size fashion design that I missed. I realize the lighting is a little wonky in this video, but I'm just creating videos and figuring out production value as I go and being incentivized. I know that if I try to have everything perfect, it's not going to be perfect and I won't make anything. So we're just going with it. And thank you so much for hanging out with me on the internet today. Be sure to hit that subscribe button, and I will see you later.